Special thank you to our sponsors of Russ Reels Live, Best Heating and Cooling, Hope 107.9 Radio, and Kicking Cancer. For more information on Best Heating and Cooling based in Scioto, Oregon, and their amazing heating and cooling services, go to best-heating.com. And for more information on Hope 107.9 Radio, go to hope1079.com. And finally, for more information on Kicking Cancer and their support of those going through cancer, go to kicking-cancer.org.
And that's it. I am the substitute host, as Russ Hedge is wisely spending this evening with his wife because it's Leah's birthday. And I can't think of a better thing for him to do than not be here, but to be there with his wife. So we are here. This is Thursday. So Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, every Wednesday, it's Russ Reels. Great conversations with a panel of experts, and our panel is Michael and Rubeena today, and I'm going to be the moderating host. In fact, let me just throw myself down into the bottom so you guys can see the brain trust that we have tonight right here on the top. We're going to be talking about transforming organizations.
On there first, put me with you. Let Rubeena be up there on top.
There we go. Transforming team dynamics. That's what we're going to talk about. And you can see right over the shoulder here in the back, I have Simon Sinek. Many of you have watched Simon Sinek's video, the TEDx talk that he gave way back in I think it was in the previous millennium, by the way. Wow. I think it was like 97 Puget Sound TEDx talk. And he didn't even have the little red carpet to stand on. Who knew what he was going to do? And he used a flip chart. This is back in the day when TEDx was the Wild West. But he had done some research. He was an advertising guy, by the way, like Russ. He was an advertising guy. Wrote this book, Start With Why. He gave this TEDx talk. And if you ever think about giving a TEDx talk, break down what Simon Sinek does in his, because it is the model that works. If you want to share your message, if you have a message of impact, then break down the way that he does it. He is the master at this, and this is a perfect archetype. But I watched it because we're talking about how great leaders inspire. Not just lead by positional authority. And we're talking about team dynamics and how we transform those. So it is Russ Reels every Thursday. We've got great sponsors. If you are interested in sponsoring one of Russ' shows, reach out to him because he gets great reach. His assistant, Ever, over in the Philippines, she is a great person. She does all the graphics. She's doing the promotion. You're going to get a lot of value for your business if you're advertising and supporting and sponsoring any of Russ's shows. So reach out to Russ Hedge, russhedge.com, and you can contact him there. He's having a great dinner with his wife. And so we're just taking a look. We got to Yolanda, and of course, Russ is there making comments. Maybe that's Ever. I'm hoping that's Ever and not Russ, but we'll find out sometime soon. Hey, let's talk about this topic tonight. But first of all, Rubeena, let's have you introduce yourself. Tell people who you are, what's going on in your world, and let's maybe even get a little story about team dynamics from your perspective.
Sure. So my name is Rubeena Mohamed. I am currently a business process analyst for NWC at Amazon. And my profession is continuous improvement, and I've been doing that for 25 years. I am a Six Sigma Green Belt, if anyone is interested in that. And in terms of team dynamics, whenever you do continuous improvement or quality improvement of any kind, you always end up working with people that don't directly report to you and come from different parts of the organization. So you have to be very attentive to different skill sets and personalities and maybe what motivates people, because at different levels of the organization people have different types of motivations. But the key to me is always about finding that clicking moment where you can have that human connection, because I feel that everything else for successful team dynamics grows out of that human connection. And that's the thing that I always strive for.
Fabulous. And we're not going to get too far before we try to explain a little bit about what a Green Belt Six Sigma is, because I don't think that means that you're playing everybody was Kung Fu, right? I don't think we're that. Right. There's no robe that goes along with this. But what is the Sigma? Why 6 of them? And why a green belt?
Sure. So when we talk about data sets and being at the Six Sigma level, it means that that's the most efficient that we can be. But all that is a disclaimer, because no one has a data set that is at Six Sigma level. So we all kind of use it as a bench line or a baseline to say, hey, we're not there. We can always be better. But it's born out of a methodology that was started with the Motorola company. And you have different degrees of belts signifying your level of practice and abilities. And so a green belt is someone that uses the methodology off and on in different projects and across the organization. But a black belt is someone whose entire job is to keep running black belt or Six Sigma projects continuously. That's what they do for, full time. So I'm a manager level green belt, which means that I practice the DMAIC, which is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control, which is sort of the basis behind Six Sigma, in everything that I do and all the people that I interact with. Pretty much, I'm the problem solver. They kind of come and say, hey, I have pain points and I would love to get your assistance in how to eliminate them. And that's basically what continuous improvement is. It's this path to eliminating pain points. We say eliminating waste, but it's really eliminating unproductivity and making sure that our processes are benefiting both our employees and our customers. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. I hope it enlightens anyone that needed to hear it.
Fabulous. And I encourage people, go, not to right now, when the show is over, go to YouTube and look for Kaizen Toast, Kaizen Toast. Look for the video Kaizen Toast, and it'll be an entertaining way to understand a little bit more about what's going on in Rubeena's world. Michael Holt, you have had quite a bit of experience, and you're in a new venture, and you have a whole new team. So tell us what's going on in Michael's world.
Wow. Well, thank you for inviting me to the show today. Russ having me on today. I always love coming together with the team and just sharing thoughts and ideas. So today is no exception. Yeah, I came from a pretty interesting background. I took pottery and PE at my local college that prepared me to be in the mini casino industry, where I put a 30-year career in leading a big gaming team of about 430 employees, all surrounded around little mini casinos with playing cards. Washington State's a little bit different than Nevada, where social gaming is okay. So we had these two properties where we definitely got to spend a lot of time with all types of walks in life and skill sets as we created this vision, this value of creating a place where you came and play cards, and you did it responsibly. So that was a great career for 33 years. COVID showed up, and the owner ended up selling, and the new people came in, had their dream and vision, and the leadership team that had been there for a long time dismantled, and I was one of them. I was the general manager at the time, and so I had an opportunity to take all the lessons I learned at that mini casino and bring it to a family-based business. So I am the co-founder of Lincoln Media Group, along with my daughter, Brittany, who works with me, and we're the co-founder of the Lincoln Local program, where we really go out into communities and connect local businesses by giving away digital screens, similar to what you have behind you. And we help network the group together by sharing pictures, because we believe people buy with their eyes, and they want to work with people they know, like, and trust, and they want to work local. So we connect people together to help grow communities all across the country, and it's been phenomenal. You're muted there, I think.
There we go. How many team members do you have now, and how many did you have when you were working in the casinos?
Yeah, our peak at the casinos, we had approximately 430 employees that worked under 9 different departments at the time. So, gaming was our largest department, with all of the dealers, and then food and beverage, security, surveillance, all the way to housekeeping and IT, and all of the different departments that made up the whole. Here at Lincoln Media, we've got about a dozen teammates now working here at Lincoln Media, mainly sales reps that are working with us as we share the opportunity to be featured on these screens across the country.
All right, I'm gonna warn you guys right now that right here behind me is Simon Sinek's Golden Circle. In his book, Start With Why, right? Starts with that inner circle. Why? What are the values that you have? And then it talks about how you express those values, and then what is the result, the product. And Michael, you just gave us a great example of the what, right? Placing those screens in, putting up the media, promoting and connecting local businesses. That's a great what. Yeah. And so I'm going to warn you right now that I'm going to ask you to talk about the why of Lincoln Media. And Rubeena, you're going to have the same thing to talk about your world there as well. Yeah. And this is something that's important, because we're talking about the team dynamics. And so I've had the opportunity to have been a people manager for the majority of my career. And anywhere from a small team of 4 or 5 people up to 150, something like that, I forget, somewhere. And in a variety of industries, from high tech to low tech manufacturing to manufacturing upholstered furniture, mainly selling to IKEA. So we're an IKEA manufacturer, to a soil lab in agricultural industry, developing and selling soil amendments and running a lab. So just kind of a variety of different places. But one of the places was, oddly enough, my daughter started working there this week. Wow. And I've been there since 2008, I think. And she just started working there. So, we made these wire holders for like books, plates, things like that, right? These are little adjustable easels. You go into any bookstore and you will see them in there. This is plastic coated wire easels, right? And the majority of my workforce, their primary language was Spanish, right? They didn't speak English as their first language. And so I grew up in a multilingual household. And so, and had studied Spanish, so I was a little bit familiar with it, but definitely not my first language. And so for those employees, and we're talking about team dynamics, one of the things for those employees was when there were announcements, Ava, who was one of our manufacturing employees, was our translator. So you come back, management team comes in from the offices into the manufacturing area, you know how that goes, and makes an announcement, and then Ava would translate it so the majority of the workforce could understand it. And so we were coming up to Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving's on a Thursday. We were going to give them a paid holiday on Friday as well, and then the weekend, right? So they would have this 4-day break to spend time with family. And so I went back to the employees to announce this, and I brought Ava over to do the translation as usual. But I memorized this whole thing in Spanish. And I told them, right? I said, all right, come on around. I'm going to deliver this. And Ava, get ready. You're going to translate this for me. And so then I first delivered it in Spanish, saying that, hey, it's the El Dia de Gracias and, Thanksgiving Day. And we're giving you a paid day on Friday. Please enjoy the 4-day weekend with your family and so forth, right? And then turned to Ava to translate it. And, of course, she was surprised, but she did. She translated it into English. So the majority of my employees whose first language was Spanish heard the message from the management team in their primary language first. Then the smaller population heard it in their language, right? This was a team dynamic effort. So one of my employees was very shy and knew almost no words in English at all. But we're a manufacturing facility. So we have OSHA standards to stand up, to sit up to, right, to be in line with, which means you have a safety committee and you meet and you have minutes. And then we translate those minutes so they were in both languages. And we had an opening on that team. And this employee who was very shy and had no English volunteered to be on that team after that announcement. That's how you impact team dynamics. Mm-hmm. So and this is because I believe, right? We're talking about I believe that you've got to go to your employees where they are, right? Mm-hmm. And this is how you affect the team dynamics. So Rubeena, I'm going to come to you and let's talk about your beliefs and how you choose to impact the team dynamics.
Sure. And so the first thing is I'm going to say kudos to you for that wonderful example, because, when you have a language that you were born speaking other than English, that's part of your identity. And so you were embracing not just your employees, but you were embracing who they are as a people. And that's really important. So kudos for doing that. And of course, as a BIPOC myself, I can appreciate that. In terms of, for me, in terms of achieving those team dynamics, one of the things is to make sure that everybody understands, like you said, the why. Now, that's going to sound differently depending on where that person is in the organization and also what their background is and their understanding of how it affects their day-to-day. So a big part of that is making sure that everyone's on the same page when they have to understand why we're doing the thing that we're doing. And that has to happen at all levels. It's like you've got to be backed by that with upper management. So when they talk about it, they talk about why they're doing it. And then you talk about it among the people that you're working with yourself. And then you talk about it as the team that's doing the change and making the improvement. And so a big part of that is understanding how to relate it to everyone on your team in terms of how it affects their day-to-day. How is this going to make my life better? Or as we say in slang, how does that affect the price of tea in China, right? I'm sure we all heard that, right? So it's about breaking it down on a level that everyone can understand, accept, and also work with. Because at the end of the day, when you want to fix something, when you want to make an improvement, you have to have the ownership from everyone, the buy-in to make that happen. And so to me, that's one of the first things that I think of when I think of team dynamics in my world, right? We're trying to solve a problem. And first of all, we have to make sure everybody understands why we need to solve the problem now, right? Why can't we wait till next year? Why do we have to do it in the middle of everything else that they're doing? That's usually what you get asked. So for me, that's the real key. It's that starting with that why, but starting with the why on a level that everyone can relate to, not just management, not just the person not just the executives, but the person that will be touching it and feeling it every day. That matters too. You're muted.
And there we go again. So I had a head cold the week before last, and I have this persistent cough that is reminding me of the great times that we had over that weekend. So I'm trying to save you all from enjoying that as much as I am. So this whole thing you're talking about, knowing why, right? Knowing why. What are the reasons we do what we do? And this is actually the first leadership trait that I present. So back in the day when we were studying business in school in 101, called Business 101, and you turn to the management section, it says, here's what a manager is, right? And we know there's a difference between managers and leaders, but management is very well defined. Plan, organize, lead, and control. And leadership in the supervisory sense, that is, let people know where to be and when to be there, and that they have the tools they need, right? That's it. So plan, organize, lead, control. And it is defined, and it is in every textbook out there. When it comes to leadership and leading people, we tend to teach it based on example, right? We tend to say, well, and in Simon Sinek, he talks about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and how he led his portion of the civil rights movement, right? And you're like, great, I'm not Dr. King, you know. I'm not Gandhi, right? I'm not, I'm not that person. I'm me. How do I do what I need to do, right? So communicating vision is the first step in being a leader. And this, Rubeena, is what you're saying, is you're telling people, here's the vision. This is where we're going. And to get there, here's the stones that we need to step on to get there. Today, we're building this stone. And people go, oh, I understand. And then we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, right? So you're reaching out in the future, and you're grabbing that in, and you're bringing them to the day so they understand the vision of where we're going, right? So that's the first step, is communicating vision. And building trust is the second thing. And trust is not just between the leader and the follower, because when you have trust, when you're a leader, right? If you don't have trust, then you're actually not a leader. You're just a tyrant, right? You're probably leading through intimidation or fear or bullying or something like that, right? The trust that I'm talking about is the trust between the team. So Rubeena, if you are our leader, then you're building trust between Michael and me, so that Michael has a job, I have a job, and I trust that Michael's going to do his part, and he trusts that I'm going to do my part, right? Just like when I was coaching my son on football. It's like, look, if you're the lineman and you got to block, then block. Don't worry about catching the ball, because that's the receiver's job. If you don't do that, he can't catch the ball, and so forth, right? We all have our part to play. So inspiring greatness is the third part, and this is the true coaching part, because people have limiting beliefs. And as the leader, you're going to get them to do things that they didn't think they can do, and they will surprise themselves, because the human spirit is so resilient and so strong when given the opportunity to be exercised, right? And then the final four in these leadership traits is moving others to action, right? So if people don't actually do something, then you're just a motivational speaker, not a leader, right? It's like, wow, that's great. And then they go out and they live life exactly the same. That is a motivational speaker. That is not a leader. Michael, you've been leading your team, and we met online first, and you were telling me about all this great culture that you were building at Linkit Media. And you talked about these things that you believed, and how you bring people in at a certain time, that you give them time for self-development and these different things. Then I had the opportunity to come and visit you live in Vancouver, Washington, and actually tour the facility there and witness the fact that you actually walk this, and you actually decorate the building. You have aligned the furniture, everything, to express these values. Tell us about the values and how this lives out in the daily life of your employees.
Yeah, no, I'd be honored to. It's funny. Thank you for the compliment. We are a long ways from our goal and vision, but it started. You started back with our why. My daughter brought this opportunity to me. Once I had ended my career at the casino industry. It was during COVID time, so we were getting some of that compensation while we were trying to figure out what we were going to do next. And for me, after 33 years of driving and doing and living this big picture dream with these little mini casinos, that became a very, very close-knit family. In fact, I knew those 430 employees on a first-name basis. We all grew up together. It was amazing. Again, I was thinking, as Rubeena and you were stating, some of the things that's important is to walk the talk. Our clearly defined ideal for the casino, which was really, really long. I haven't been at the casino for almost 5 or 6 years now, 5 years now. And I still know our clearly defined ideal. Every guest will depart our casinos, whether they won or not, with the feeling that they were known, welcome, important, and appreciated. They played and ate great food and had fun in a friendly island environment. And you get the point. See, every manager, when we had our vision and mission, we would bring that to the team, but we would not ask them to walk that if they couldn't walk that talk as well. So I got to grow up in a great, amazing culture. However, that culture wasn't my culture. So all of a sudden, when I found myself away from that family that was so near and dear, it was a huge loss. And my daughter came to me and said, "Hey, Dad, there's this company I'm working for." She was in merchant services, which is not known to be the most straightforward business. There's a lot of selling going on and a lot of misrepresentation to make money. And she also was working for a lady at the time that had this concept that we have with Lincoln Media today, but a smaller version of it, but it was all driven around making money, and it was nasty. It was not a great environment. And the lady approached me and asked me if I would be interested in maybe meeting with her, and I ended up getting COVID and couldn't meet. But my daughter came home the second day after that and said, "Hey, Dad, you're never going to go work for this lady because she does not have your values." And so, I taught my kids a lot, and Scott, you've heard me say I want to start my book. I'm in the process, and it's been a journey. But I've always had this goal and dream because of what I learned at those little mini casinos. And with me growing up without a formal education and being able to be promoted into a company that was at that level overseeing 430, very uncommon. And it was all about passion. So getting back to your question, Brittany came to me and said, "Hey, Dad, let's start our own business and let's bring our values to the table." So we took those 5 F words, which is part of the book that I've always wanted to share with my kids, which was, the every F word that every parent should teach their kids, which is faith, finance, fitness, family and friends, and having some fun. And we took this local program because of the need at the time, because COVID had shut everybody down and you couldn't look at a menu or touch a menu. You had to look at it from your phone. And I was at the age I couldn't see very good. And we knew that people bought with their eyes. So what we did is we created these pictures to put up on those screens like you have behind you. And then the local businesses wanted to help one another. So we wanted to link them together so the businesses on the outside would sponsor that location and everybody would come together to help one another. So that was important, but the bigger part is that we had this opportunity now to do something on our own and make it bigger. So your why was, could we create a business where people wanted to come to work? The outside world is so messed up and everybody's got challenges. I mean, and today everybody knows those challenges. I don't care who you are, you have lots of them. So we wanted to create a place here at Lincoln that you could, for that 8 hours that you were at work, be able to come to work and be the best version of you. We wanted you to become better because you were part of the Lincoln family. If you spent one day or you made a career out of it, while you were here, we wanted you better. So we put together the Monday through Friday, 7 to 3 p.m. so that family members could come to work Monday through Friday. They get an hour lunch break, and they could be home by 3, so they could be home to get to the kids' games. They could be home to get to a doctor's appointment. They could do a lot of things that would seem to be perfect. Now, we're finding 7 o'clock in the morning is not always perfect because some of the parents and stuff have to get the kids off to school. So we're thinking about adjusting that time. But the other thing that we did is we wanted to commit an hour of personal development each day so we could take those 5 F words and then put like Simon and put, the Jim Rohns or Tony Robbins, we could put that in and start their day off with something to inspire them, either to help them grow with their business skill sets or just to grow personally. And then we've created games that get the synergy together. But really, the bottom line is we wanted to make a place that they wanted to come to work. We got them some of the best chairs that they could sit in. And again, we're not Google by any means, but the kind of the Google mentality is to make it a really cool place that you just want to come and be. We put a lot of great food in the break room so they can eat if they haven't ate. And it's just trying again to create that environment that people, when they get to Lincoln Media for the day, they can kind of shut that outside world out and be who they want to be, and hopefully their best version.
Yeah, this is actually living it out, and this is what I saw when I came and visited you. That I had heard about this, but then I actually saw that you live it out. I saw the break room, I saw the pictures, and there's some great photographs that you guys have in there that talk about some of the history and remind people what it is that you guys are doing. And it's not just a sales job, right? You're there to really build community, but you're starting by building the community within the workplace. And one of the things that, and I'm going to go back to decision making now, Rubeena. We're going to talk about this because again, Simon Sinek, and I encourage people after you watch Kaizen Toast, go back and spend 18 minutes and rewatch. I try to watch Simon's video at least once a year because it's a good reminder. It's a good grounding, right? And a chance to evaluate myself. Am I leading with my values? Am I telling people why I do these things? Because, and he also emphasizes this in the video, and there is a lot of research that backs up the fact people buy by emotions. Then they go back and justify it. And this is where the data sets come in, Rubeena, where you can say, yeah, we did it because of this. But the truth is that people are making decisions by emotion. And in that part of our brain where we have emotion, we do not have the capacity for language. So we can't translate it. That's why we have artists. That's why we have poets and musicians who try to take something very squishy, emotions, and turn it into something that we can communicate. So let's talk about decision making and emotions when you're looking at team dynamics. Rubeena.
Wow, that's a tough one. That's definitely not a multiple choice question. It's an essay one, right?
Well, I know you have stories, and this is Russ Reels. The Story Hour is the tagline. So please feel free.
Yeah. So one of the first things that I want to say about emotions, because I have the platform right now, is that for any females in business listening, we're often taught that we're not allowed to have emotions in the workplace, or a lot of us come from backgrounds where we're told that. And so I want to make it very clear before I go into decision making that, emotions are a part of who we are, and they are very much allowed. We shouldn't be ashamed or hide them because they happen, they exist. And sometimes they are an indicator of whether something is working or not in the best interests of our organization or workplace. So I just kind of wanted to, step on my platform before I went to answer your question. And so decision making and emotion. So first of all, let's talk about the fact that we all have to be at work for most of our lives, right? That's the most of the week. It's where we spend. It's in our workplace, right? And that means we have to be somewhere where we are seen and heard and valued. And it's the place that we have to also be comfortable and safe. And these are all things that relate to how we make decisions and how we relate to our emotions in the workplace from where I sit. So when you've got a team of people that come from different parts of the organization and may have different personalities and different backgrounds, one of the first things you have to do is make sure that each one of them feel valued, seen, and heard, right? And that is outside of the why and all the other leadership things that we talked about. And in doing so, that's where the emotion comes in, right? You can use your emotional, I guess, intelligence, if we want to go there. But when you say something to a team of people and you can see their body language, or if you're just in a room full of people and you can tell that this is not working, this is not going over well, this is not the best way that we want to go because no one here is behind this, or they don't feel safe doing it, or anything like that in terms of a negative reaction, that's part of the decision making. And it's also part of understanding the impact of what you're doing. And, in a nutshell, if I had to say it, it's don't be tone deaf as a leader. Pay attention to what you're doing, how it's affecting the people that you need to be able to do it. And yes, you want a story? Sure, I can give you a story. Once upon a time, I worked for a government agency, and they decided that to make their facility state of the art and pristine and all that for printing, they printed all the materials for the government. They decided that they were going to build a new state of the art facility. But the only problem is that the place that they could build it was very far away from where they were formerly located. So by building this facility and having people work there meant that a lot of people who relied on public transportation were now having a hard time getting to and from work. The other thing that they didn't consider is that, when people work in a manufacturing environment such as printing, they need that lunch break. They need to walk out of the building and they need to have a break, and they need to, just be able to have a time and a space that's personal in the workday, because then they have to go back in and work on binding something or putting it together, right? And this location did not have any amenities where people could go on their lunch hour and grab something to eat and just get a break from, the workplace, much needed break from the workplace, because it's a physical job. Some of them are standing up, like for the whole time before that. And so this was an example of a decision that was made without any input from the employees whatsoever. It's like nobody bothered to say, hey, if we are located here, how does this affect your workday? How does this work for you? And how do we set you up for success to be the best employee that you can? So, like I said, I'm the lady that they come to try to solve the problems. So first thing I did is I talked to a cross-section of employees, and the suggestion that we could come up with, given all the constraints, was to have a different times for the shifts, so that people, when they had to get to and from work, they had like a larger window to be able to get the public transportation to get there. And then we had food trucks come in, to be there so that they could actually just leave the building and sit outside for a little bit and, and get that break that was much needed. But, the story could have had a totally different ending, because they did it, they brought in somebody who was aware of, okay, this is how our pain points are affecting people. This is a big deal to them. And the reason that I'm stressing this, and again, the emotions, it's because when people had to talk to me about how it now took 3 hours to get to work, where it used to take them an hour, if that, you could get the range of emotion and the impact and the effect that had on them. When they talked about not being able to leave their station and walk outside and grab a bite to eat and just sit down for a little bit and not, be in that constant work environment, again, there was a lot of emotion tied to that. So, emotions, decision making always go hand in hand. They're not always pretty, the emotional part of it, from when you're looking at people's responses. But that's okay, because it's usually an indicator of, hey, we need to do something different. We need to take a different approach here because we value the people that work for us and we want to set them up for success. You're muted again. Oh, I made you speechless with my story.
Okay,
That's how I'm gonna interpret it.
Yeah, it's just so fabulous that you recognize that and you help them create a solution around that. At a client, it was a very similar thing, small manufacturing facility, kind of rural, southern Alabama. And they had in their workspace in this factory area, the assembly area, they had refrigerators everywhere, right? I mean, they're just like all in these different spots. And so I was asking about it, and they didn't have a break room. They didn't have a break area. So people would eat at their workstation, which is a bad idea, right? Mixing your food and your work, this is a bad thing anyway. Plus, Rubeena, what you just talked about, you need to have that time away. You need to have some space. And so we talked about that. And the owner actually then went and bought the material and framed up a room and built a dedicated break room, moved the refrigerators in there so people had a place to store their food, put a picnic table in there and some other things so they would have an actual place to leave their workspace and go and stay in the air condition because it is Alabama. So, and be able to get away from that. The other thing that you mentioned, and I think I'm going to encourage Russ to run an episode just on emotional intelligence. There's a lot of research that says that the probability of success is greater if you have a good EQ, right? Emotional quotient, being able to understand emotions as opposed to an IQ, your intelligence quotient. The emotions are more likely if you can read people's emotions. And emotional intelligence is just being able to understand your own emotions and control them and be able to read the emotions of other people and also help affect their emotions, right? That's all emotional intelligence is. And there are ways to measure that and there's ways to improve that. Michael, let's talk about this a little bit in the workplace there because you work closely with your daughter and you can tell, right? Because you spend enough time around her. You know when something's going on. But we need to have the same thing with our employees. We need to be able to understand that when Pat came in, that something is not right. And let's talk about that, Michael.
Yeah, it's critical. Mine is a family business, so I have my daughter who's my boss. She's the CEO, so she threatens to fire me all the time. But I have her and my sons. But families is a whole nother level inside of a business because we are very in tune to the highs and lows, which is good and bad. Because sometimes the kids don't always want dad to know their high or lows or they're missing a day because of whatever. So there's a lot of accountability and a lot of things that happen with that. But, the simple saying, we've heard it many, many times, people don't care how much you know until they know you care. And that care is something that will serve every one of us as business owners and leaders because our teammates can work anywhere. And so they're going to choose, like you were saying, Rubeena, about they're going to spend a lot of time. So they're choosing who they're going to spend their time with. And they do want you to know that you care. The problem is, it's not a problem. The responsibility of caring for your teammates, where you start with a few of your own kids, or maybe as a leader, you don't even have kids, you now end up with a whole lot more family members. And, we use the acronym a lot in my circle that family stands for, and this is a really good one when I heard it. Forget about me, I love you. And it's such a great acronym, family, forget about me, I love you. And I know that's getting a little bit really deep with your teammates, but I can tell you here at Lincoln Media, we have that really great connection because we do take time to care. And when you do care and it's important to you, you definitely know when somebody is off. Now, again, I've been blessed or cursed with the gift from the man above is to really understand when people are off. You can feel their heartbeat. I do care and I love and I want to encourage and inspire people to chase their dreams. Maybe it's here at Lincoln Media, or maybe it's somewhere else. But life is short, and in our office we have that 0 to 100. The goal is to get to 100. And if you don't like what you're doing, I always tell them here, don't stay here. Go find something. It's too short not to do it. But when you start connecting to their needs and you let them know that they have a voice and that you care, you really create something pretty magical, because people will do an awful lot for you when they know that you care. And it's as simple as a little phone call. I have a mother and daughter teammate, the grandma that called to the hospital, and they had to leave early to go take care of that. And they posted out on Facebook, hey, all my prayer warriors, say a prayer for me. It was the middle of the business day. But I seen that post, and I just took a minute to say, hey, sending blessing and carry your way. I hope everything's going well with Grandma. We'll see you when you get things taken care of. But the next day when they came back into the office, they said, Michael, how did you even know? So to show in the middle of a day that they're important, that you could do anything, but you took that second just to send a quick little shout out. Or it's the phone call. I had a guy one of my other sales meet the other day that had COVID. He's out for a few days, and I sent him a text message and said, hey, checking in. You've been out for a while. Hope you're feeling better. And again, he said, hey, I've been really, really sick. But when they come in, that's the power. It's not something really big. It's just being aware. And again, I have a dozen, so maybe it's easier than some that have a whole lot more. But the question that I ask leaders, do you have that mentality to put the time in? Because your assets isn't your physical property or your products. Your teammates are your assets. They're the ones that are going to do what needs to be done, and that's where you pour your energy into. It's not that easy. It's hard, and sometimes you ask yourself, what the heck am I doing it? Because they will disappoint you. They will do all kinds of unique things because the world out there is calling after them too. But like I said, it's just something that it's just been important to me, because I've been that pretty ordinary guy that got that opportunity, and if I can do it, they can do it. And so we're just trying to create a vehicle that they too can go chase their dreams and get out of this life what they want, and hopefully it's with us.
Beautiful. We're going to wind down here in a moment, and I want to go to each of you, and let's talk about some practical things that people can do. If there's a checklist, if there's a book to read, if there's something they can do that people can say, this is how I want to affect the team dynamics, right? And I want to do it intentionally and positively, because this is one thing. When you're talking about team dynamics, you're talking about culture, and culture can be changed, but it takes, as Michael just said, a lot of work, a lot of energy. You have to be consistent. You have to be persistent. And you also mentioned something else. And I'm going to give a shout out to Mike Ashebrainer and the Hounds of Business. We had a great conversation this week. And I sent in as I said, I threw my fedora into the ring to become one of the Hounds of Business. And you can question Michael's judgment and the rest of the team over there, but they did accept me into the Hounds of Business. So, and there's questions you have to answer in there. And one of them talked about teams and team dynamics and things like this and supporting other people. My father gave me this quote, and he attributed it to Vince Lombardi. And I will tell you that I have looked, and I cannot find anywhere that Vince Lombardi ever said this. So I attribute this following quote to my father. He said, son, the difference between a team and a committee is that the members of a team love each other. And I remember standing on the floor with 150 manufacturing employees in that upholstered furniture company and telling them, as I was a general manager, I told them, that phrase, the members of a team love each other, right? We have compassion for each other, because one day your team member has COVID, and everyone's going to rush in to help out, because tomorrow I'm going to have car trouble and I won't be able to make it in, or something's going to happen, right? Because we are all in this together, right? right? This is something that we need to do. So let's talk about some specific practical things. So Rubeena, we'll start with you. Let's talk about some practical things and then tell people how they reach out and get in contact with you and access this knowledge inside your brain.
Oh, sure. So some practical things. One of the small things you can do to change the energy in a meeting or your workplace. One of the things that I practice is getting people to compliment each other. It only takes 2 minutes of any, at the start of any meeting. And right now we do Slack and instant messages. So it takes even shorter. But you'd be amazed that if you just said, turn to the person on your left and Slack them or tell them a compliment, you'd be amazed at how that changes the scene in the room, right? So as a leader, one of the things that I emphasize is that you want to practice spreading positivity within your circle of influence, right? Whenever people are around you, they should feel some level of welcome or positivity. And if you want to be a good leader and have really good teams and have people be the best version of themselves, I highly recommend Hidden Potential by Adam Grant. It's a book, and I actually recommend any book by Adam Grant if you really want to be a leader that values the people that work for you and also encourages them to be the best version of themselves. And of course, you can contact me on LinkedIn. You can just type in my name because that's the link to me. And my email is my name, 1126 @gmail.com. Yes, I had to put a number after my name because I'm not the only Rubeena Mohamed in the world, much to my chagrin. But it's also very easy.
Smith out there in the world.
But it's also very easy to remember. So hope to hear from you.
Rubeena, we had 3,000 plus employees come through the time that I was at the casino. We never had a Rubeena. So you're number one to us. You're the only Rubeena I know. Perfect.
I already like you, Michael. Okay, let's just make this greater now.
All right, keep it going, Michael. Give us some practical tips.
Yeah, well, the practical tips is to really, you said it. You started it off with saying, what's your why? Why are you even doing what you're doing? I ask you probably to go a little bit deeper, and you were created for a purpose, and trying to understand what that purpose is. And it leads me to Zig Ziglar. See at the Top was one of the very first books I ever read. And, we're just all encouraged to serve others. The old saying is if you serve enough others, you're going to get what you want in return. And so that serve first is so important, giving first. And that's our responsibility as a leader. We have a dream and we have a goal. So it's important for us to share that with the team and help them understand their role in that. A lot of businesses do not take the time to go to each of those teammates and let them know their role in the big picture. And then, again, just share with them the dream, the vision, and encourage them to, if they have any concerns, that you have that open door. My teammates know if they need anything. We have the old saying, praise in public, criticize in private. Out on the floor, I'm going to be your leader and give you direction, or the team will. You may not always agree with it, but if you don't, take it off the floor, and behind the doors, you can come in and tell me I'm an idiot, how I missed it, what a cuckoo bird I am. And you know what? I will listen and acknowledge that, because we're only as good as your teammates. Don't let anybody kid you. We are nothing without them. And again, once you understand that, that's your job as a leader. Is to get with them and give them the tools and the things that they need, and then get out of their way. Let them go do what they're going to do, because there's magic inside of each one of them. And as soon as you can get them to catch on fire, it's fun to watch, and they will do an awful lot for you. And we're just blessed to be able to keep messing it up. We keep making mistakes over and over again, and we smile at it, but we just keep doing it. And we're going to do it till the good Lord calls us home. So that's our goal.
Now, I noticed the email that is available for you is info@Linkit Media Group.
Yeah, Michael at Linkit Media Group is my direct.
Yeah, LinkitMediaGroup.com. It needs to be updated there. But because I don't think you're the only info in the world.
No. And,
Maybe you should put a number behind it.
you can go to linkedinmediagroup.com, go to our website, check us out a little bit, and then there's a little, a bot there that you can put in and just say, I want to request to talk with Michael. And again, I would just love to share with you, learn more about what you're doing. And, again, I'm sure I can safely say this with the team here. We're a resource. If you guys need anything, there's no cost to just talk and dream. And I love it. I love meeting new people, building relationships. And I'm just thankful, D. Scott. I'm just appreciative to be here. And thanks for leading in Russ's spot. And what a blessing all of you have been in my life. So I just want to say thank you.
Rubeena and Michael, it's been fabulous talking to you guys. I'm going to give people some practical things. One of them, spend 18 minutes with Simon Sinek and rewatch that. If you've watched it before, rewatch it. If you haven't watched it, then put it on your playlist, because you'll want to watch this on occasion, just to remind yourselves where you need to start. And I can't think of a better way to do that, a better way to use 18 minutes. And like Michael is setting aside an hour for his folks for personal development, make sure you're setting aside time for yourself for personal development as well. So Kaizen Toast, Kaizen Toast. Look for that on YouTube. That's another great video that you'll want to spend. It's probably another 20 minutes, Rubeena, something like that, I think, explaining the process. It is fun, but it is extremely educational. The last video out there is my video comparing management and leadership. Again, management, plan, organize, lead, and control. And leadership is communicate vision, build trust, inspire greatness, and move those other peoples to actually take action. I gave a 5-minute Ignite style talk. So if you look up on my channel, you can find management leadership there. 5 minutes. Spend 18 with Simon because, he's more famous than I am. So I get 5 minutes of your time. But please make sure that you tune in and follow Russ's channel. So follow his YouTube channel. Make sure you're connected with him on LinkedIn. His goal is to meet 1,000 people. If you know somebody that Russ doesn't know, which is hard to believe, connect them up. Do a LinkedIn introduction. That is an easy way to connect people up. LinkedIn is a great tool. Rubeena, thank you for being here. Michael, thank you for being here today. I loved all the comments, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot today. We've got some stuff to take on and into the future. If people want to find me, dscottsmith.com is the website. Scott@dscottsmith.com. You can see there's a theme there. So you can find me. There are a lot of Scott Smiths, so dscottsmith.com. With that, we're just going to play the outgoing credits and say thank you, guys, and we will see you again.